We're on our way to Châtellerault for my rheumatology appointment. And as you can tell, Mark's driving. He was up for a blood test at 7 o'clock this morning. He was up at 6 for a 7 o'clock blood test. And I think we're both tired, but I'm hopeful that he's less tired than I am.
You're projecting.
Am I?
Yeah.
What am I projecting?
Well, that I'm as tired as you are.
Well, I don't know how tired you are. You don't tell me.
No, there isn't a metric measure for it. But...
No. We're coming up to a very pretty chateau called Chateau Tufu. And when we've come up for a rheumatology appointment in sort of winter or autumn, late autumn, November, on a bright, frosty, sunny morning, it really looks beautiful. And I think it still looks nice now, but I can't see it. That's the trouble. It hides behind the trees. No, you can't really see it. No, I don't want your hand. I'm looking for the chateau. You stupid man. Yeah. So when we come in November, there's not so much vegetation and it shows up. The sun's shining in the right direction. It shows up really well. So that's corn, maize on that side of that field on the left. Come past a couple of sunflower fields, but they're very short sunflowers and they're not all in flower yet. So we've had a quiet weekend, which is what we needed. Some people on the vlog that I did when I asked Mark about his thoughts about his knee replacement surgery, and some people have asked, is he in pain? He's just told me it's aching. He doesn't normally tell me that. He's just aching because he's driving. But you're not normally in pain, are you?
No, pain isn't really the word. Sometimes it aches a bit, that's all. And I might get something that's a bit sort of sciatica-like, but that is slight. The biggest symptom is well, I found in Canada particularly, after I've been walking for about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, it begins to feel like I'm wading through treacle, and it's hard work, you know. It makes me really knackered. But apart from that, pottering about, it's well okay. I suppose it's happened so gradually that I'm just sort of used to it. You know, at each stage I've got used to it and sort of think of it as okay. It was quite noticeable when I had steroid put into the right knee. It made a lot of difference. So I'm sort of hoping that the knee replacement will have a similar remarkable effect.
I think that from what people are saying, that it's quite likely to. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm having a bit of a problem with the zoom now. Can't see what I'm doing. That's it. And people have said that, you know, you really will notice the difference. You'll be, I think somebody says you won't know yourself, and especially as you've had this sort of creeping up over at least 4 years. I think, you know, that when you consider that you're going to be, your knee's going to be replaced, it's going to probably be, once you've healed and rehabilitated, it's probably going to be a bit of a shock to discover what it's like to have a real knee proper knee that works after sort of years of aging knee. Back in October, I think it was, we ordered a new car, and Mark had always wanted a brand new car, and had been researching for months and months and months what car likely we were going to order, and we wanted to go electric. And so we went and ordered it. And over the months, now and again, we've discussed it, talked about it. And now and again, I've said to him, are you sure we should be doing this? Because it wasn't cheap. It was a lot of money. And coming back to, this is what I want to do. I always wanted a new car. La, la, la. After Canada, we came back, and I don't know how soon afterwards, but we came back and sitting talking, and I said, do we still want to do this? And he said no, probably not. And I can't remember why now. Why was it?
Well, I think because we found Canada hard going, and also a fantastic trip, but we sort of resolved that we weren't going to travel that kind of distance again, and actually we wouldn't be going that far anything like it. So in part, the sense that we weren't going to travel as far again, or travel as much as we perhaps used to do, and the fact that we don't use the car every day. I mean, sometimes it might be twice a week to go to the shops and that's it.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to spend a whole load of money on an electric car because they're expensive, and just have it sit there. It'd be lovely, and partly that's an old me, a past me that wanted a new car, and realistically, this car has been fine. So spending half what the electric car would have cost on a second-hand Touran just made a whole lot more sense, and we should be able to afford Touran that's, I don't know, 2-3 years old. It'll be diesel, admittedly, but we don't drive that far.
I think one of the things that you kept coming back to when we were wanting to order that was when we go back to the UK. It's not good for one's bladder. When we go back to the UK, we do a lot of kilometres to get there, and you're talking about the range of the Ioniq, and it was all about range. And my anxiety was that we were going to be swapping whatever anxiety there is when you're travelling for range anxiety. And then coming back from Canada, for me, it was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to move. I don't want to travel. I just can't face it. I don't want to leave jazz. All of those things. And it suddenly made I think it was Canada brought our age and where we're at in our lives, I think, into sharp focus. And we're sort of realising what our limitations are, and as Mark says, it would just sit there, and for many days it wouldn't be used. It's like, it's ridiculous, to have an expensive item sitting under the carport, unused or rarely used. And all we do this trip to Châtellerault will be the longest trip we do this week, and we rarely go Poitiers and Châtellerault are about the same distance. They're about 45 minutes each way, and we rarely do that because we find it tiring, which for some people will sort of find that really odd, but we find it tiring doing these trips. So this is a Touran. We've had it for how many years?
I don't know, 6.
Oh, since Mum died.
Yeah.
So 2000. When did she die? 2011? No, 2016, I think. So we've had it since 2016, and when we ordered the electric car, we were going to give this to Joe. So we'll still give this to Joe. So we're just going to upgrade to a much newer Touran. They had one in the VW garage in Châtellerault when we looked a couple of weeks ago. They had a nice one that was a 2021 model, and it hadn't got loads of mileage on it and whatever, but it's been sold, sadly. And what they've got now is they've got a black, which is horrible, a black one that's a 2019, and the other one they've got isn't the right power. What do you say, power?
Oh, it's petrol, I think.
What, the 1.4?
I think that's a petrol engine.
Okay. So anyway, that's what we did. So then we had to cancel the Ioniq, hoping that we could remove ourselves from an order that we placed in October. We've lost our deposit. We knew that would happen, but in the scheme of things, losing the deposit is far better than losing the amount of money that we were about to spend. So I'm really pleased. So that's what we did. So we're coming past this long plain overlooked from this, I suppose you might call this a bluff up here, but this long plain is, and I'm not going to be able to tell you the dates because we've probably passed the sign now, but is the place, the setting of a very, very, very early Battle of Poitiers. I can't remember whether it was 600 and something or 900 and something, but it's along on the left here. We've passed it as I was talking, and I always sort of intrigued by it as we come past, because it is, when we're driving along on the road, it's such a long view. It must have, I sort of imagine all the soldiers all lined up, and all of the and the view that they had, and how it all played out. I'm not much into history, as you can tell by the way I'm talking, but it always intrigues me that this, is like, I think it was 900 and something, the Battle of Poitiers. I'm sure somebody will tell me. So that we've just passed that on the left. So I'm going to stop now. We're coming up to the outskirts of Châtellerault, and hopefully we'll get to the rheumatologist before I need a wee, or before my need gets more desperate than it is. Somebody said the other day, we don't need to know about whether you want to wee, and I'm thinking, I don't care. Anyway, there we go. It's a little bit of a chat, road trip thing, whatever.